Hey everyone, I wanted to recognize our sponsor, Traver Connect. Two words ring true for all of us in the automotive service space: the phones. When we hear those words, we instantly all sigh. Because as much change as our industry has seen, we still get an overwhelming amount of calls. No need to sigh though. That's where a good BDC comes in handy, doesn't it? I know the team at Traver Connect personally, and these guys get it, and they can help you build your service BDC. Or you can use their team to catch the calls you miss from well-trained team of agents that they have. Or have them make outbound calls and set new appointments. Give Traver Connect a call today. As they say, revenue doesn't leave a message at the beep. Reach out to the team at Traver Connect at traverconnect.com. Dynatron Software is also an important sponsor for the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. As both technology and the auto industry continue to evolve, every dealership needs to ask themselves a very important question. Am I in the forefront or stuck in the past? Dynatron Software offers the latest in data analytics, business tools, and pricing optimization. Contact them for more info. Sales at dynatronsoftware.com. Guys, as always, help spread the message of the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. That helps us to spread the word. Also, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. Get the new episodes as soon as they're released. And now, here's another episode for you. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Again, folks, my guest is Joe Lockard with Automax Recruiting and also, I don't know the name of the company, but a consulting company also. Joe, welcome to the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Dave. MaxSafe Consulting is the sister company, by the way, but thank you.
There we go.
Thanks for mentioning that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So we were chatting a little bit before we started recording, and 2020 has certainly been a different year, challenging for some, and some have taken that challenge and run with it and had a pretty good year, and some have been overrun by the challenges. One of the things that I think 2020 has done has brought to the forefront the fact that you need to have an active plan for recruiting your technicians, recruiting your employees, and making them part of the team, and being able to keep that team together even through these tough times. And certainly that is your area of expertise is getting people to the team and getting them up to speed and ready to go.
You bet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned, and you mentioned it just a moment ago, but you mentioned it before we started talking too, that tech recruiting is more of a problem for some than others. And a lot of times, even by the time a lot of different dealerships get to us, it's already in panic mode. And I'll talk to the proactive nature of what we do and the need for our clients to be proactive. But a lot of times, by the time you get to that 5-alarm fire and I need A guys immediately, you're already behind the 8 ball, and there's already some other things that you should have been doing that we can talk about.
Right, and that seems to be a problem a lot of times, right? Is that but before somebody's reaching out for help, they've almost gone past the point of really being able to help them with what they're reaching out for help with.
Sure.
Because there's probably some ancillary problems that are going on that probably led to the problem that they're having right now. Typically, having a shortage of technicians is not a matter of there's no technicians around them. It could have been some poor management choices in the past, some operating procedures that happen, some poor customer service that gets out there, and no technician wants to be working at a place where they can't find a good review online about
Sure.
the place. What's some of the stuff that you guys see that affects being able to recruit people into a team?
Well, I think it starts at, and we have kind of a 7 steps to effective recruiting. Whenever I lay it out there, I usually use technicians as the example, just because it is the most challenging position to fill in a dealership. Doesn't matter who you are, you can do everything right, and it's still going to be something of a challenge. First step I would say is audit. Always, take inventory, see what you have, and do it periodically. Like I said, don't wait till it's panic time. Really look at who you have back there, who's doing what, who's underperforming, who's maybe overperforming, that you should be putting a little more time and energy and resources into getting them trained up so that they can work their way, through the certifications with the factory. And then kind of go from there, instead of, I need 8 technicians right now. So if you're filling spots as you go along and realizing where your true pain points are, you don't end up in those types of situations. But I love to use the baseball team analogy as far as technicians. I really feel strongly about the need to have not just your superstars, obviously your A-level guys, your master techs. You got to have the B and C guys. You got to have guys that are maybe the rising stars, if you will, on the team. And then you have your utility players that can hop around and do different things within. They might not have all the certs, but they're flexible and they can do different stuff. And then you have your everyday guys who might not be superstars, but again, fill a very valuable need. And then most important of all, in my opinion, is that farm system. If you're not grooming guys and starting and hiring, it also allows you to hire the right type of person. Then you're not just looking at a resume and looking at certs and saying, yeah, I don't care what your personality is. You check all these boxes, so I'm going to hire you. And next thing you know, you got a big problem back in service because you hired an a-hole who's making everybody else mad. You don't want that. So, if you start, obviously you got to have your guys who can hold it down and plug and play. But if you're always working on that farm system, underneath with the entry-level guys, the tech school grads, et cetera, it keeps you ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And so do you, I'm going to guess the answer to this is going to be no, but do you find that that a lot of places actually have a laid out career path for that farm system, like a place for their technicians to go? If you do ABC, then we will do DEF type of thing.
Sure. More often than not, no, you're right. I will say I've seen it improve. I've seen it improve drastically. I've seen it improve over the past 3-4 months, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I just had kind of one of those moments a month or two ago. I was out in the backyard. I had my dog out there, and the neighbor 2 houses down, who I've lived in our house, we've been here for 2 years. I've never met him. So he comes over because he had his dogs out. I was like, hey, come on over. So he brings his dogs over. We get to talking, and he's head of the vocational program at the local high school tech school. So I tell him what I do. He's like, wow. And he's amazed at that my career in our company even exists. He's like, I didn't know there was anything like that. And then he starts going in the curriculum at their school. And I'm like, that's exceptional. They really do a nice job. They have continuing education programs, but they also, it's a 4-year high school for trade schools. So, kids come out and they're ready. They don't have they don't have the certifications and the experience that some of the other techs out there do. But it's a real good starting point. So my gears started turning, and I started to make some calls locally at a few dealerships, and I got some really positive feedback. I said, look, guys, I don't have A/B techs for you right now. We can talk about that. If you want to use one of our recruiting programs and pay me some money, we can certainly find them. But what I do have right now that I can put in front of you this week are these career-minded, focused kids who have to, need a job, need to get started, just need an opportunity. And like you said, need to be showing, this isn't a $12 an hour for the rest of your life career. This is a legit opportunity. And I had a couple clients here locally in central southern Delaware that were very receptive to it and are going to talk to some of the kids from the schools. So I feel like it's improving, but I would say that the norm is no, not a whole lot of need for entry-level types or a defined career path for them.
Yeah, and it's something that's important. Obviously, as you were describing it as the farm system, that farm system, just like with a baseball team, needs to know what they need to do to move up from the farm system to AA and to finally into the big leagues.
Right.
And we've been pretty deficient in this industry at laying that out for our technicians, or for anybody in the dealership for that matter, but especially our technicians, our most trained people in the dealership, and we don't lay out for them what they can do to move their career along. And that's what creates the problem that a lot of people get into with they hire somebody into their quick lane, and 6 months later they're saying, well, I don't want to change oil anymore. I want to be in the main shop. And you're like, you're probably, a year and a half away from being into the main shop, but that wasn't laid out to them, or there wasn't an actual plan in front of them for them to see it. That is a pretty big coincidence that guy 2 houses down is is running a vocational program. That's amazing.
And we talked a little bit how it's been a challenging year in 2020, but it's presented a lot of opportunities as well. So it's kind of a perception, it's a mindset thing. And so I decided right at the beginning of this thing, I'm not going to be quote unquote negative, call it what you will, and steer into it. I'm going to look for those opportunities. And it's funny, when you change that mindset, you start noticing things like that. Those little quote unquote coincidences pop up a lot more than they used to when you're looking for them, so to speak. So that was cool. I'm it's not like we're going to make a ton of money out of placing entry-level techs, but just to be able to help out my local community and take care of our clients and maybe help a kid out on a career path, it's a pretty good feeling. So hopefully that pans out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and that's your farm system of ATEX in a few years, right? To be able to place them in different places. So I'm actually going to the local vocational school next Friday to meet with them about doing just that, getting some kids in on their co-op and things to start to introduce them to the dealership world and start to do that exact thing is grow them. And you're absolutely right on the mindset. Change it changes the way everything it worked this year. If you took a different approach to it, and instead of it being all doom and gloom, you looked at those challenges as opportunities. I said at the very beginning of this that the disruption that all these different companies have been talking about in the automotive industry, that they were disruptors and all that kind of stuff, that disruption got brought to your door with COVID, and you either made the most of it or it ran you over. And for those that recognized it as an opportunity and took that little bit of slower time that you had to retrain and refocus the team, are reaping rewards with probably the last 2 or 3 months of record months that the automotive industry is starting to see now.
Yeah, I see it everywhere. And look, we're fairly large. We obviously don't deal with everybody, but we are, coast to coast. So we have clients in California and clients on the East Coast. And I'm hearing just about nothing but positive feedback. So as far as I can tell, the automotive industry is killing it. Just absolutely really impressed. I really am, like you said. And it's unfortunate that it had to come to this, that maybe our hand had to be forced into growing, kind of that expand by demand principle. But for whatever reason, it happened and it's here, and it seems like everyone's handling it pretty well so far. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a medical crisis, not a financial crisis, right? So
there you go.
There was opportunity to be had if you were willing to look for it.
Yes, sir.
So when you are looking for technicians to place, is it something where technicians are reaching out to you, or are you guys
wouldn't that be nice?
Are you guys actively seeking technicians?
Actively seeking. Yeah, no, we don't get a whole lot of that. I even tell I certainly don't trivialize the role that a job posting on a job board can play, and I think it's important to have that flag up, and you never know when you're going to catch somebody in transition. But no, your top guys aren't sitting on Indeed on Monday morning. They're turning wrenches in a garage and doing what they do on Monday morning. So we initiate the conversation with probably 80% of our best candidates, our eventual hires for dealers. Proactive, like I said, proactive is my buzzword for all recruiting. It doesn't even have to be technician. Any position in a dealership that you truly value and aren't just, like I said, throwing an ad up and letting resumes come in and sit in your inbox for how long, and I'll screen them when I can screen them sort of thing. You got to put some time into it, and you got to make it a priority. You got to initiate the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to treat it, like you said earlier, as a baseball team, where a baseball team or any professional sports team is always looking to upgrade the team that they have.
Absolutely.
Right? They're never satisfied with what's there on the team. You're always trying to raise that bottom 20% up 5%, so that now you've got another 20% to keep raising the bar. So
exactly.
So how does, if you can kind of walk me through the process? So you reach out to technicians. How were you finding those technicians to reach out to? Just through your network or
everywhere? Yeah. So our first stop is always our network. You mentioned we've been around for a while, coming up on 23 years. So we've built a pretty good network and a nice database. We try to keep our internal database of candidates pretty fresh. So somewhere in the 12 to 24 months, these people that we start the conversation with have been active in the market in some capacity, or maybe they showed interest in another position and it just wasn't the right fit. So yeah, that right there in our talent network is where we start. Then from there, it's still the traditional resources. It's just more of the resume mining, headhunting model on LinkedIn, on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, social media. If you can get accepted into the technician Facebook group or groups that are out there, and they don't snap at you or swear at you, and you don't piss them off too much, you can usually make some headway there and at least present the opportunities. But just everywhere we possibly can to find candidates, and then, like I said, start the conversation. But those are probably our main areas: our own network, LinkedIn, Indeed, and ZipRecruiter.
Excellent. And there's certainly, when people talk about a tech shortage, when you start to get into those Facebook rooms and things, you realize that there's still a lot of technicians out there.
A ton.
They just
they're
necessarily
there.
want to work for certain people.
They don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't have to. They don't have to make a change.
Right.
So I talked to a fixed ops director of a large group over the weekend, and we talked about how they're kind of holding all the cards right now. And he said, you know what, good for them. It's been plenty of years of, obviously, when I was growing up, it was you had to go to college, you had to go to college, you had to go to college if you want to make any money, or you could go, I guess you could work in a garage somewhere and make $15 an hour. And I think they finally started to take notice that they are in demand, and they provide a valuable service, and they're starting to get paid for that valuable service. So you have to bring the strong message. And that's really the bigger part. Like you said, we can find technicians. So when I'm working with a client and it's, well, what are you seeing out there? Who have you reached out to? We haven't seen any Chrysler level 3 techs since we started the campaign. I said, well, we found the Chrysler level 3 techs. Best we can do is put our best foot forward based on the information you provide us, and say, hey, here's the opportunity. If it doesn't at least match or exceed the opportunity where they're at currently, that's kind of the end of the conversation.
Right. Yeah, they are not gonna always explore the grass is always greener if the place that they're at already has a pretty nice lawn. So if you're taking care of your people and doing the right things, you don't really need to worry about your technicians going anywhere. But then again, if you are taking care of your people and doing the right things, you're not one of the places that usually has a technician shortage, because that's the kind of place that the guys want to go work for. So
right. It's funny. We have some friends in the industry that do such a tremendous job with their dealer groups, and we're friends. And I'll always laugh and be like, you're never going to use us for anything, are you? They're like, no, we're good. We handle our stuff. So it is a bit, recruiting such a funky job where it, unfortunately, and not always the case. Sometimes some dealer groups just have exceptional growth. It's not a task that they want to have. They want to just, hey, pay you, you go do it. I got other stuff to do. But yeah, in a lot of cases, some dealers do such a phenomenal job with it. It's just not a need that they have, which is great. That's okay too.
Yeah, there's it's a big world. There's room for everybody out there. So when you do initiate that conversation with the technicians, and obviously I'm sure sometimes you're just trying to get them into the system, and other times you're trying to fill an actual position that you're looking for. Is there some sort of screening process that you put them through, or is it just dealer by dealer or group by group that has their own process that they put them through?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. And it is a funky situation where you're initiating the conversation, but at the same time, you have to be qualifying them the whole time, because a resume can only go so far. It's just a piece of paper. And I always laugh. We'll get some pretty light resumes that we submit to dealer. And I'm like, well, what's this? I'm like, well, let me fill in some of these gaps for you. But it's funny. I tell them, you should have seen it 5 years ago. These guys, technicians, have come a long way as far as putting together an actual resume. 5 years, there was no resume 5 years ago. We were still they were applying to classified ads in the newspapers. So I'm impressed that they've, the certs are on there, the ASE certs, factory certs. So it's gotten a little bit better. But to answer your question, we'll have a general conversation with them. We probably don't do the same level of screening that we would for, say, a sales manager, a general manager, obviously, or even a salesperson, where there's going to be more interaction with the general public. So,
Right.
we want to make sure this isn't a total maniac and somebody who's not going to represent us well just by submitting them to the client. But, I'd say it's normally led by the dealer, and you tell me what provides you value as far as this type of experience and this type of human being, but primarily tell me the boxes they have to check, and that's what we're screening for when we initiate that conversation.
It makes sense. Every dealership's going to have their own kind of little culture that people have to fit into. Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford is always saying that that's the number one thing that he's hiring for is culture first. So
and it's like I said, if you can take some of that, they have to have this and this, they have to come in here and be able to do this job day one, you can hire for that. You kind of have to take what you get if you can only hire the Chrysler Level 3 certified tech. So that's another reason to start them out on a career path at more of an entry-level role and hire for a type of person. He's dead on.
Yeah, you can hire those level 3 techs, but it took a while for them to get there, and
Sure.
they have some established habits, and whether they're good or bad, they have established ways that they do things and expect things to be.
Change.
Right, and so you can't expect them to come in and just totally change the way that they are to conform to your culture. So it's certainly an important lesson for people to learn is to make sure that the people that you're bringing in are going to actually fit into what you've built there, and the type of culture that you have. Somebody who's really, really quiet in a shop full of extroverts is probably not going to feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
And, same thing for the other way around. If they're an extrovert and really loud and everybody else is pretty quiet, he's not going to fit in, or she's not going to fit in very well. And that creates an issue. So you got to make sure that the people that you're bringing in actually fit the culture that you have built or the store has built for them to actually fit in. You can't take a saltwater fish and throw it in a freshwater aquarium and expect it to do well.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work out. So what have you seen? I know you said over the past 5 years or so, resumes have been a big change in what technicians are coming forward with. What other things have you seen over? I don't think I want to even go back any further than 5 years, because things have changed a lot in 5 years, and it's unrecognizable 10 years ago. So in the recent past, what are some of the big changes that you see coming forward?
Money. The amount of money that technicians, and again, I'm glad you mentioned women instead of men, and I got 3 daughters, and I don't want to, stereotype them, but I can pretty much about guarantee that the first 2 aren't going to be working on cars anytime soon. And part of that is just the fact that I'm not a mechanic myself, but my point is, the amount of money I see thrown out there, if I had a kid that looked at mechanically inclined, I'd be pushing them hard in that direction. It is, like I said, a very legitimate career path, and that hasn't always been the case. So I'd say that's the number one thing that I'm seeing. Number 2, on our side, on the dealership side, I am seeing some pretty insane things thrown out there to try and pull these guys in. So I don't want to sit here and judge and say dealers aren't stepping up, because they are stepping up. We had a client in the Midwest that was, knew he was in a tough area, knew he was in a rural area, knew he had high expectations, and then he was going to be pulling someone from outside the area to relocate. And they were willing to, with a 12-month contract, provide the down payment for a house up to, I think, $350,000 home. They were going to pay the down payment for this person. So just making it more tangible, so that, at that point you have somebody pretty bought in. I thought it was a great idea. I mean, if someone's buying a house and moving their whole family there, you can feel pretty good about that person being a semi-long-term to long-term fit for your dealership. So I have seen dealers step up, and there's always that lag. There's that adjustment period where things used to be a certain way, and they've changed, and everyone's got to play catch up a little bit. And then I think we already hit on the third, where I have, and it's not even just the past 5 years, it's probably in the last year, I've seen a lot more dealers who enjoy, I even have a couple clients that will bring either advisors or techs. It's kind of just a porter position where they just come on as an apprentice period. They feel them out for about 6 months, and then they decide, okay, you're either going to go the advisor career path or you're going to go the technician career path. Present that to them. And like you say, lay it out of here's where you're at 12 months, here's where you're at 2 years, here's where you're at 5 years on either path. And more often than not, they agree and they say, yeah, I think that's where I belong and sounds good. Sign me up. So I've seen major advancements as far as the career path and really, hiring for a type of person instead of just a resume.
Yeah, I think for far too long it was just a plug a body into whatever hole you had there, and
Sure.
Hope that you could turn them into what you wanted them.
Sure.
The model that never worked in any relationship in the world we thought would work when we hired people.
Right.
And it's great to see that changing. It's great to see the industry evolving and coming around to some of those things. I think laying out a career path is probably something that's going to be a lot of people are going to be talking about that over the next couple of years. And I think that'll certainly be a factor in hiring technicians, because I think technicians are going to start to look for that, to want to know, no matter what level they're at, they're going to want to know where am I going to be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road.
Right.
Am I still going to be in this same bay, wrenching on the same cars, or do I have a chance to actually move up and move from here and become something other than the technician that fixes the car? So there's some people are perfectly happy just staying in that role, and it's an honorable role, and as I said earlier, the most educated people in the dealership. But there are others that want to be able to progress, and they've never had a way to be able to do that. So it's good to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Joe, it has been great talking with you today.
Yeah, you too, Dave.
Love learning a little more about how the recruiting process goes. I've never been sought after enough to have somebody come to try and recruit me, so I absolutely knew nothing about
that makes two of us. That makes two of us, my friend.
Do they recruit people from
I'm
recruiting
semi-available.
companies?
Come on, throw some options
Right.
out there, people. I'm always willing to listen.
Yeah, we're open. If you're listening, you can call us. It was a great conversation. I really appreciate you being on. Where can people find you and find the company? And I'll get all that linked up in the show notes.
You bet. Websites, Automax Recruiting and Training.com. It's a long mouthful. We committed to it 23 years ago, and we're stuck with it, but it's got great SEO, so we're not changing it, people. Sorry. So Automax Recruiting and Training.com. Of course, we're biggest on social media. So myself, my father, Craig, our GM, Ernie Kasperwitz, any of our recruiters all over LinkedIn, Facebook, reach out to us there, shoot me a message on there. I can always be reached on my cell phone, 609-705-8646. I'm always available. Feel free to reach out and we can just talk. It doesn't even have to be a pitch. I'm always more than happy to discuss the world of recruiting, especially in fixed ops.
Excellent. There's an open guy who will give his cell phone number out on a podcast.
I just want to talk, man. It's we're still semi-pandemic here. I've been sitting in this house with 3 toddlers for the past, I don't even know how many months. So yeah, I get bored. Tell me.
Somebody call Joe. Help him out. All right. Once again, thank you for being with us. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, Dave.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, everybody. That was Joe Lockard from Automax Recruiting and Training. Great conversation there. Talked a lot about technician training and technician career paths. Absolutely needed to keep your technicians in-house and also to build yourself a farm system, as Joe said, so that you have technicians coming up ready to take the spots and that they know where they're going. They're not looking to you 4 months down the road and wondering why they haven't moved, because they have an actual career path that you laid out in front of them that shows them exactly the time frames and what they need to do as far as training and as far as hours production and all that. Lay it all out for them. You're going to see a lot more of that coming up in the future, where technicians and stores that have career paths are going to have a giant advantage over stores that do not. And remember, go to Apple Podcasts, find the Fixed Ops Mastermind, and leave us a 5-star rating and review. It helps get this podcast out to more people that need to hear it, and everybody needs to hear it. So Apple Podcasts, Fixed Ops Mastermind, and leave us a 5-star rating and review. For all of you in fixed operations that want to hang out with other like-minded people that are looking to move the industry forward, fixedopsmastermind.com is how you join our weekly Fixed Ops Mastermind Leaders Group. We meet every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. About an hour. We have an after-hours session where we hang out and just chat after that, and everybody is welcome there. Fixedopsmastermind.com is where you can sign up to be part of that membership. And also, we have a weekly webinar series on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on part 3 of our BDC series right now. That'll be coming up on Wednesday. By the time this is released, it'll probably be over, but it will be in the archives in the community section of fixedopsmastermind.com, where we'll have all the free webinars archived so you can go back and watch those. Thank you very much for joining us. We are grateful you are here. Until next time. Another information-packed session of the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast is in the books. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your support. Remember to download Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast on your favorite podcast app and to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We thank again our sponsors, Dynatron Software and Traver Connect. Make sure you guys visit them. They've got some incredible products to help your dealership excel. Until next time, thanks for joining us.